Bethesda is so dead, there's not even a corpse left at this point. No one can even pretend to puppet it any longer. It's absolutely over. Anything Bethesda touches, anything Bethesda tries to make is gonna just turn into muck. That's it. The developers are talentless. Todd Howard is an absolute loser. And, I mean, even the ex-Bethesda talentless trash that left because they were the worst of the worst from Bethesda are even speaking out about how bad Bethesda was. This is all around the most pathetic thing I have ever seen related to Bethesda, to be honest.
That's another pain in the ass, honestly, with the studio going in the direction that it did. Just too many producers, too many managers, too many hands in the pot, and just like, that hurts the game. I know the intention is to make things more efficient, but it's, in my opinion, actually makes it worse. Um, so if I was ever to get back into game development again, I would just kind of, I would probably join a smaller team.
I hope he doesn't get back into the game development ever again. Everyone who works for Bethesda should be blacklisted from gaming entirely and never allowed to, well, even honestly work in a McDonald's because that's probably way above their pay grade.
You know,
Look at this guy. A character artist on Skyrim, Fallout 4, 76, and Starfield. This is horrible. You have done such an amazingly poor job. Oh my lord.
that's one of the things I loved about early on, is that because it was a smaller team and it was these huge games, I got to touch on everything. I got to be a character artist, environment artist, a designer, you know, in some small ways a programmer. I didn't know how to code necessarily, but I'd be there with programmers, literally sit with them for hours working systems out, testing back and forth. I would sketch stuff out interface wise and say, hey, this is what I need. And I need this to connect to this and blah 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 blah. And it allowed me to really, I'm very technical. I do art, but I'm very technical. I like to problem solve. So early on, I got to do that.
Artist that loves to problem solve. You see where the problem is. These people are not only bad at their job, but they're insane. Because this guy probably thinks he's actually really good at game development. Skyrim looks like ass. All the models look bad, bro. Maybe you should have actually done your job as an artist and not fiddle around with the engineers or whatever type of people you were just talking about. Like,
And then by the time Starfield came around, you just can't get anything into the game with like five other people doing it with you. Before you could, now you can't. So you
by the way, this is high quality. I can't make it better.
need a tech artist, and you need this, and you need code support, and it's just like, so. It's very hard to be a ninja. We had a big ninja culture back in Skyrim and Fallout 4,
What?
and then we just kind of vanished hard. By the time 76 got there, it's just another very limited position. I was just back to kind of character artist.
Oh no! I was forced to do my job. Yeah, Fallout 4 was so amazing because you got to goof around and do whatever. Okay? Yeah, sure, buddy. Oh my, I can't.
You're like, well, that's not, it's not passionate anymore.
Yeah, because I think it was what, 500 people, I think, that worked on Starfield. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even want to guess how many people were
Yeah.
working on Outer Scrolls 6. Probably be more than
Yeah,
that
no, it
now.
was, yeah, no, I mean, it was well over 500.
Cancel Elder Scrolls 6, cancel Fallout 5, fire Todd Howard, replace him with I don't know, a headless chicken that just randomly drops on something and then Bethesda does that thing. It's gonna be better.
That's
Well over
crazy
500
numbers.
for sure. Yeah, and when I think about those numbers, because it was like 115 for Fallout, and I'm just like, it just blows my mind, and
That's a massive jump.
yeah, huge jump. And then you got to imagine that uh it does,
I was forced to do my job. Oh my god.
you have limited resources financially. So how do you pay? How do you pay bonuses? How do you do this? Like you limit those things financially now from a huge standpoint, and you have people who, you know, people are like, oh, making games. What are you complaining about? It's easy, whatever. I'm not complaining. I wouldn't complain. I think it was a great job. I think it is a lot harder. than anybody can imagine until you're actually doing it. You know, you are constantly.
Yes, yes. Guys, listen, making a game is so much harder than anything else in the world. You don't understand because you're not a game developer. We are special. We're really smart and we're special. The game developers, you see. We are advanced, and I'm personally an artist. I am the most special of the specials. You could not hate these people more. Oh,
Trying to meet so many bars, artistic, technical, design, all of these things. You're trying to basically.
wow! My job in Bethesda had things that we need to achieve, so we put out goals that our work had to achieve. Like this guy is so glazing himself. I worked in a job that required me to do things, and we need to accomplish things. No other job in the world does that. That's literally his absolute arrogant take.
Keep up with, and you're trying to do it with a big team of people, and the bigger the team gets, you can find somehow it's like you get diminishing returns,
Yeah.
so you're putting in all this time and effort, and you're not compensated for anymore. So by the time you actually work out what you are making per hour, you know versus the time you spent, you hear the salary, you're like, oh wow, that's a pretty good salary. But by the time you work out what you're working per hour, it's very low, because you're staying there overnight. You're staying away from your family. You're doing all these things. I know because I did it. I had a sofa in my cubicle and I'd sleep there, trying to get stuff in and done. Um, so I think that, you kind of forces you to put some things into perspective. And
The culture was really good for a while. I haven't been there for a while, so I can't speak to the culture now. I know it's changed some. But we all had a kitchen that we all ate lunch at together. We knew the chef, we knew the woman calling our names out when our food was ready. There's a lot of
Oh, talk about self-entitlement. Oh, the culture was really good when EB had personal chef. Oh, this is why 99.9% of people in Bethesda need to be fired, and I'm not sure who actually needs to stay. Probably everyone needs to be fired, honestly.
team building, a lot of community building. And I think
Fired this guy twice.
that played a huge hand into people staying for a while. I think it was also the kind of place where, unfortunately, I think, you can also, once you got there, you could kind of relax and not have to work that hard to keep your job. They don't fire people easily. I think maybe they're leery of getting sued or something like that. But
Okay. So this is this guy's take. Bethesda's work culture was really good when we had private chefs calling out our names and giving us the food that we wanted. And it was really good when no one got fired for being bad at their job and doing absolutely nothing because it was hard to get fired because nepotism was a real thing. It was great. It was great ruining the game, not doing nothing and getting paid for it. What a take! What an absolute wonderful take this is.
it's very hard to get fired, I think, at Bethesda. And so I think there was, if you're not working that hard, but you're putting in your hours, you could just kind of do that forever. And I think that has resulted a little bit in like some people who maybe, well, I won't go that far. I just think it's very easy to go there and kind of cruise because you're not going to lose your job. And so
There'd be like that. There'd be people like that at any company, I think.
any company,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it's a tale of as old as time. It's just,
What's the actual irony of this, by the way? This is gonna piss a couple of people off, but this is why this is why your supervisor has a supervisor that has a supervisor that has a supervisor that supervises your supervisor, okay? This is why companies have this, because otherwise shit like this can actually happen, okay? This is why you have supervisors for supervisors. Because otherwise stuff like this can actually happen.
it's human nature.
Yeah.
But I think there's some people, especially of the younger generation of at the time, who I think worked really hard and poured their souls into the game, but weren't necessarily
Which game?
recognized or lauded over kind of everyone else to the degree where I think there was a feeling of like, I think a lot of people who were kind of really pushing for change and for revolutionizing things and always moving forward, there wasn't.
Yes, the revolution, seizing the means of production and stuff. Ah, I get it, comrade.
I don't know that people felt very supported in that environment, and so some of those people moved on, and the people who didn't have to put in all that time and just kind of get their head down, they could just stay. And so, listen, what I'm saying is a broad and rather ugly generalization. You know, it's verging on slanderous. You know, and so I apologize in advance for like kind of coming off, you know, that way. But you know, when you're in a company, any organization,
I'm sorry, I'm dozing
and
off.
you feel changes happening, and you're not happy with how kind of, you know, things are being handled in some respects, you kind of build up these small grudges, these kind of, you start to see the bad patterns and things. And so if you're hearing,
I have no idea what dude, this guy is so afraid to actually say anything concrete. Well, like, why is he even doing this interview? He just wants recognition, fame, and fortune. Well, here it is. I'm talking about you. I hope you're happy, Mr. Nobody. I hope it was worth it. He wants to say negative things, but he's too afraid, too chicken to actually do it. Kind of funny.
negativity in my voice, it simply comes from the fact of just working there for years and not being entirely happy with how certain things were getting managed. And
what things, though?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of my colleagues have left since then.
Oh,
you know,
no. Oh, no.
I think there is so much potential at that game studio, and there's a lot of new hires there who are young and hungry and amazing dreamers, and I really look forward to seeing what they do with Elder Scrolls 6.
So there's a bunch of young people who have no idea what they're doing, but they want to do stuff, and that's going to be amazing. Trust, boys.
I really cannot wait.
It's still a long way away.
It's still a long way away. Exactly. And I think there's just a lot of people there who I remember who like didn't work that hard, who are just still there, you know, and who will never leave.
Bethesda was a bit more compartmentalized, a bit more structured, where it was like, you're going to be doing level design or you're going to be doing art. Now you could do the level art, like you could place, like you are welcome to go in and place things, but I think in the earlier days of Bethesda, when it was a lot smaller, you had that freedom to kind of do one thing and then another. But
Yeah,
as it grew, I mean, and it's not a knock on the studio. It's just it's like how do you keep something like that on the rails? It requires more organization, and so there is unfortunately some pigeonholing that comes with that.
Because Bethesda as a studio culture was very good at acknowledging other people's work. I don't think I can ever think of a time when somebody claimed credit for someone else's work. And in fact, they'd go out of the way to say, oh yeah, and this was so-and-so's idea, or, you know, I'm dovetailing off of what this other person did. And up until, I'm going to say 5 years ago, since I'm not an HR guy, I don't know the exact metrics, but it's going to be roughly in there. The retention rate was staggeringly high. And in fact, it became an internal problem because when nobody leaves, there's no upward mobility.
No promotions.
Wait, that's his problem because nobody leaves. There's no upward momentum, and people who don't deserve it don't get promoted. Is that the take here? Jesus Christ! All of these people. All of these people have artsy jobs, okay? All of them have somehow artsy titles and stuff. It's insane. How is this thing? Okay, that's your problem? I would say the problem is that Emil Paglarino has not been fired yet after destroying Starfield and then doubling down and destroying a whole goddamn expansion for Starfield. Okay, I'm sure the second expansion is going to be great because Emil is finally going to realize all his faults. Not, dude. No. You don't want to keep people on board, people who were previously doing a job, if they're doing a job badly now, okay, that's why you want to fire them, not because, oh, people were not leaving so other Nepo babies couldn't get promoted. That's not a good take, Chief. And by the way, this is Bruce Nesbitt. This is kind of actually a bigger deal than most people we have seen so far.
Yeah, there's no place to go to. A certain amount of turnover is actually necessary for that to happen, and it just wasn't happening. People were staying there for decades. I've got a 15-year one of those plexiglass 15-year things up on my table up there, and there's a whole slew of them out there. There's a lot of people who've been with the company 10, 15, 20 years. It's a staggering achievement.
Because you're going so much, you've got some blinders on. And
oh, I remember this guy. We actually watched a part of his stuff previously. It was hilarious.
Things are kind of hitting you out of nowhere. You think you've got a handle on it, and then you don't. But that doesn't mean that people aren't making good, honest attempts to deal with the problem. One of a small thing that I started doing was, instead of sitting down one-on-one to go over the tool set with whoever asked, I would just record videos anytime anyone had a question, and I would send them the video. But then I would also publish that internally, and therefore everyone who had that question could see it. And that was because that was the only way to manage the scale problem. I was being inundated with requests. I didn't know when someone would need something, especially they might not be awake when I'm awake because of the time zone differences. So having a published video tutorial was the easiest way to transmit the most information in the shortest amount of time, so that I could get everything across to whoever needed it. And, the amount of requests I would get that I would have to manage personally would go down. So there were definitely a lot of tactics for how to manage the problem. I think it's more of that on the strategic level. We weren't aware of what were the big trends that were hitting us as an organization, and how do you manage that, at a much higher level. That was the part that I think took a lot of us by surprise, because you're just trying to.
What the hell even is this? Oh no, people had questions for my job. Okay, it is what it is.
Careful.
I always felt encouraged to sort of Wild West a little bit. As long as you got your regularly tasked work done, it was okay if you were doing extra stuff and had a little bit of side action that you were excited about.
Side action, holy!
Working on the same things day in and day out. So that was that was very much encouraged.
My side actions are all the good MILFs, and obviously the bureau administrative girl. Okay, that's the side activity.
I think that's what you're referring to with the ninja culture thing.
Ninja culture,
and that was awesome for Skyrim, and to a large degree for Fallout 4. It was that way too. Wasn't it until we started to grow, a lot of the sort of management and production methodologies that we had as a studio that, in my opinion, work really well. They don't scale, right? They don't scale well when you have a 200, 300, 400. I don't even know what the actual dev size ended at with Starfield. I'm not sure. Somewhere between 400 or 500.
Oh yeah.
And then you do sort of get, you talk about siloing. I mean, the thing to think about too is we were not.
Oh god, this one's a boring one, ain't it? Oh, that was Kiwi Talks. 10 out of 10, man. There's a whole 1 hour video, by the way, about this one, and it is really bad. It is ridiculously bad. Okay, 10 out of 10. Bye.